Hey, y'all, this is School Madness. This is a mother who is claiming her 1-year-old daughter was placed in a trash can by a daycare teacher in Maryland. I also have another story right after this where a different daycare worker placed another child into the trash can out in Chicago. But first, let's take a look at the one in Maryland. This happened January 16th. Let's go ahead and take a listen to this story.
Shocked from a message she received on January 3rd while working at Potomac Early Learning Center in La Plata. She was told a teacher in another classroom put her 1-year-old daughter Leilani in the trash can.
And after she told me that, I asked to clarify, and I asked her, what do you mean put her in the trash can? Did she hold her over the trash can or actually put her in? And she said no, she put her in the trash can, stepped back and looked at her.
Text messages between Thomas and the witness who told her what happened go into more detail.
So I'm going to pause it right here so we can take a look closely at these text messages that the co-worker sent her. So the co-worker says, hey, IDK if you got my number saved, but it's Kara. I wanted to tell you about today, especially because if it was my son, I'd hope someone would tell me this, right? The mom says, hey, yes, what happened? The co-worker says, okay, so Leilani didn't want to get her diaper changed earlier today and was fighting blank to change it. Quotations, jokingly, in quotations, but I didn't find it funny. She put Leilani inside of the trash can, and when she pulled her out of the trash can, trash went all over the floor. After that, Leilani pretty much stayed by my side most of the remainder of the day. I ain't trying to throw no one under the bus, but it didn't sit right with me, and so I wanted to let you know. Okay, co-worker, throwing someone under the bus, we're not worried about throwing someone under the bus when they're trying to put kids into the trash can. That's absolutely unacceptable.
Into more detail. According to the witness, Leilani didn't want her diaper changed. So the teacher, quote, jokingly placed Leilani in the trash can, deep enough to be covered in other trash. The witness says when she saw this, she had to come forward.
And I don't feel like Miss Ariane would have known what had actually happened to her daughter. I'm a mother of 2, and I'm pregnant with my 3rd. And I don't feel as though I would want that to happen to my child. So that's why I reported it.
Okay, Boots, leaning over to the left. You and your Boots should have leaned over to the left, walked up to that co-worker and said, hey, you know what? I was over here doing this activity with so-and-so. Why don't you let me handle this? Right? It's up to the co-worker to decide, you know what? She's not handling this right. I can intervene. Hey, I was over here giving so-and-so a snack. How about you finish giving so-and-so a snack while I handle this? I can change the baby's diaper. Most toddlers don't want to get their diapers changed. They're running around. You got to chase after them. You got to bribe them to get them to come over and lay down. That's what 1-year-olds do. Your reaction should never be to put them in the trash can. What are you doing? Now, this reporter is going to go over to the daycare to get their side of the story from the corporates, the corporate side of the story, because this is a small daycare. And apparently they have a couple other chains in the city. However, as you can imagine, the reporter gets no response.
Just days after confronting the administration about the incident, both were fired. Now Thomas is hoping to spread awareness to parents about what's happening within the center's walls.
I do want to see the daycare be held accountable. The daycare, the director, the teacher, everyone at this point.
So the director had no response. However, they did go on to fire that worker. So that is the story out in Maryland. Let's get into the next story that is out in Chicago. This story happened January 17th, 2025. This story out in Chicago, I actually have the footage of the worker putting the child into the trash can. Now, this is a 4-year-old boy who refused to take a nap. And so the worker's response was to put the little boy into the trash can.
Video from a camera in the Learning Lab daycare shows a worker picking up the 4-year-old and placing him in a garbage can.
I had no words, especially when I reviewed the tape. My first thing was, of course, I'm crying, and I immediately went to the police station.
Police told the boy's mother that since he was not physically injured, there was nothing they could do. But the boy's parents say other children and teachers witnessed the incident, and they're concerned about the psychological damage their son may have suffered as a result of the humiliation.
We just want to, make sure that Grayson is aware that the situation that happened, that, the helper, what she did was wrong. What he did nothing wrong.
We reached out to the daycare, but they told us they were not prepared with a response. The boy's parents say they were told the individual worker involved was fired, but they're concerned other teachers at the school witnessed the incident and failed to stop it or even report it. The parents say they've used this daycare for nearly 2 years, but they will not be going back.
You work with kids. I mean, you have to learn, they should know how to de-escalate these certain situations when they don't want to take a nap.
The couple says
that mother is absolutely right. Daycare should know, the workers should absolutely know how to de-escalate these situations. With the story out in Maryland, there was a worker who didn't approach, or a co-worker who didn't approach the worker who was committing a crime. I think it's a crime, but apparently the police don't think so. That's why there were no criminal charges pressed against neither one of these women. I'm assuming that they're both women. And out in Chicago, that was their concern as well, was that none of the workers spoke up when they saw these things going on. The situation in Maryland and the situation in Chicago, neither one of the directors wanted to step up and come forward to address any of these allegations. They didn't want their reputation to be put on the line. These are small daycares, but no matter what, these are working class families. Both situations, these children came from 2-parent households. The parents are working, and they're trying to survive and putting their kid into a daycare. And they're trusting these people with their children while they go to work. And you come home from work and you hear that your child has been abused. As far as I'm concerned, that's abuse. That is taunting them. That's psychological abuse, like it was mentioned in the news, the news reporter. And the difference between the Maryland and the Chicago is that the Maryland, the little girl was 1 year old. So she could not speak up. She could not go home and tell mommy and daddy. It was the co-worker who told. That is how the mom found out. If it wasn't for that, those parents would not know. However, Chicago, this little boy was 4 years old. So he had the wherewithal to string 2 sentences together to let mommy and daddy know she put me in a trash can. Right. And I'm pretty sure mom went up there acting a fool, wanting to get to the bottom of it. And they showed her the camera footage. And usually I've heard stories where they will make it so difficult to show you the footage. So the mom was lucky enough to even get that camera footage and have her child be old enough and intelligent enough to come home and let her know what happened. Otherwise, she wouldn't have known what happened either. Both of these situations are just terrible. I hate that it happened. Please tell me what you think down in the comment section. Like, subscribe for more updates and more news like this. And I hope to see you soon. Please take care of yourself and take care of each other.